You're listening to Productivity Monsters in the Morning. We are the energy volt your real estate business needs to get you up and out and excited and productive for the day. We go over trending topics and things that really matter in the market of the moment. Here are your hosts, Tiffany Hampton and Brooke Silva.
Brooke Silva.
Tiffany Hampton. Happy day.
Happy day. Yeah.
Happy
Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday.
It's almost Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving.
You know what else? It's like 45 days to New Year's Eve.
That's scary.
43 days, 40 something days. We're over the line.
Wow. Anyway.
A great reason for us to talk about our topic today.
Yes, and I've got a good story about it. I was thinking about it when we talked about the topic of how to talk about today's topic, which is moving from E to P, which is a big word, entrepreneurial. You cannot say it fast. Spell check.
Entrepreneurial.
Right? Spell check will fix it for you because I spell it wrong every time I pop it in. And to purposeful. And I think the easiest way to describe E to P is the feeling of when you've hit a ceiling anywhere in the world. So in my last tech role, I loved my job. When I tell you I loved my job, I loved it, but I hit a ceiling. And I didn't realize how much I had hit a ceiling until the opportunity at Keller Williams opened up for me. And it made me sit back, look, do some pros and cons. And I had hit a ceiling. I had been purposeful for a long time, and then I got comfortable and I wasn't able to break through the ceiling anymore. So for me, it was either move up within that world, which there were no longer any opportunities, or move into a different part of my world, which is what I did. And it was painful. Not in such a bad way, but it was way outside of my comfort zone to come to Keller Williams.
Yeah. And so E to P, let's talk about that really quick before we go deeper into our stories. So first, our affirmation.
Yes.
I will be a leader in my organization. Whether you're an organization of 1 or 500, you are a leader in your organization.
And something that Gary Keller did, even on day 1 of opening Keller Williams, when he was a solo agent, he would always answer the phone. It's a great day at Keller Williams International. This is Gary Keller. How can I help you? So he had such a huge vision that the person who picked up the phone didn't know if they were calling an organization of 5,000 or 1. It really didn't matter because he automatically started with that purposeful vision in everything he did. So I just love that. I always want to go back to that.
Yeah. And we're talking about moving from E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. And you gave an example of a big goal, right? Like your E to P was a total change in business. But E to P happens on small levels too, right? Because you're constantly becoming entrepreneurial. Then you get purposeful. And then you hit the ceiling. And when you break through that ceiling, you're entrepreneurial again. So no matter where you are in business, you're constantly moving up and you're hitting a ceiling. And it's when you stay in the entrepreneurial that growth gets stinted.
It doesn't. And oftentimes a lot of our agents think E to P is hitting certain goals, but what it is getting out of your comfort zone, because many of us do what comes easy first, right? So I'm not scared to pick up the phone and cold call. My personality, and I have the education behind it, and I'm educated, and I've done it for years before coming to this world, so it doesn't hurt. But possibly going to a real estate networking is something that hurts. So it's out of my comfort zone. When I was looking through more of the E to P stuff that we've got, it was really fascinating some of the stories of how people broke through a ceiling. And one of the things that was in my book all the time is, well, we've always done it this way.
Right.
When I hear that, I think my skin crawls, it's going to crack off my body, and like a robot's going to emerge, and I'm just going to just sit in the corner then and cry, because that is one of the most horrific phrases in the human, like, we do it too. Well, we've always done it this way.
Yeah. I love the face that shows up when somebody says that to you. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully you're purposeful with that face and you don't give them that face.
Oh, I do. I can't help it, because when people are asking me to help change something or help them hit a goal, and then they come at me with, well, we've always done it this way and that's how we're going to do it. I know that it's not a tech issue or a systems issue. That is a full mindset issue. And those limiting beliefs, well, we've always done it this way. I can't help it. Like, it gives a physical reaction to my body. I just want to shrivel up because.
Right. Well, what questions should they ask themselves when somebody says, well, we've always done it that way, right? If they're not sitting in front of you or I, what questions should they be asking themselves?
Are there different, better ways to do this?
And what would be the opportunity if you tried a different path?
Or who is doing this at a high level that I can speak with and learn from? What tools can help? And there's got to be some accountability and measurability. Again, more words the spell check will pick up on for me.
Well, and the question that pops into my head is, doing it the way you always done it, is that going to support your future goal? And which one is more important?
And will it sustain you in any market or in the shift? Because the things we paid for or did before, we're already seeing slower results or lack of results, because the market dictates. The consumer is dictating how they want to be advertised to or how they want to do business. But our agents who are stuck in that entrepreneurial section now, where I've always done it this way, it's comfortable, it's in my zone of genius, are not going to hit the mark, and they're going to see lower return on investment for all marketing, not just Facebook ads or buying leads or doing all these things. It's because consumers are dictating the way in which they want to be communicated with, but agents are stuck and refuse to participate in consumer vision.
I'm gonna show my real estate age. So when I got into this business, we still had the MLS books.
Oh boy.
And it was the year that MLS, the computer program, came out, right? And the statement always was, I'll just wait for the book to come out.
How does that serve your client best?
Look at that face.
Sorry. I just, like, how does that serve? Who do we serve?
Right?
Who do we serve?
And when I think about those things, I think to myself, so the one who adapts the new sooner comes out ahead. Because if you're second, what are you looking at?
And the other thing is, we constantly are recreating our businesses, not the foundation, the models or the systems. And I think that's what has also happened, is that agents will get away from models and systems because they can do it better. They can get creative.
Yep.
You can be creative, but you have to be creative in the models. You also have to measure. If you're not measuring and tracking, how do you accurately know if what you are doing is working? And that drives me insane.
That face.
Right? It's so important. Maybe tomorrow, or one of the things you can put on your computer is, how does this best serve my clients, or does this only serve what I know?
Yep. So what signs do you think show up when they're in E with the opportunity to move P, but they're hitting the ceiling?
You look around you And the people who were not hitting their unit goals are all of a sudden not only hitting their unit goals, but bypassing you.
Right.
And while we don't want to be competitive with others, we need to be, then if you're a top producer and all of a sudden you're watching less closings, less things in the pipeline, you need to take a step back and look at models and systems and say, am I doing the things I need to do? Is my goal big enough?
Yeah.
Is my goal big enough? And am I measuring and tracking the things I am doing? So that way, if I know they're not working, I have the ability to stop and figure out what's next. I think we're going to see a lot of agents who do not have speed to lead really get hurt in this market. Whereas it used to be fishing in a barrel with some of these big online lead aggregators where you picked up, you showed them a house, boom, right? Like, or they sell because everybody wanted to sell. Now we're going to see where agents are going to have the knowledge and the ability to nurture a relationship, to take them through the process and then keep them for life.
So Brooke, for those that don't know what speed to lead is,
what is
speed to lead?
That is how fast, because you're not actually, there's like this myth that when you buy leads, you own them. What you're buying is the chance to get to them first. Because if you think that you're the only person being given that lead, that's a delusion. Delusional. What you're buying is the chance to get to them first. You need to make sure that you have systems and models in place so that you are the first an accurate person to get them the information they need to want to work with you. In our world, I always say that starts with an email. The second you have a lead coming in from somewhere, you want your first step to be an email. And do you know why?
Why?
TCPA. Spam acts. We need to make sure that we are not calling or texting outside of very specific times. That can get you like $40,000 fines and up. We need to be really careful about that. Let me tell you, somebody calls me at 11 o'clock from me putting an online form in, you have lost my business immediately. I don't care that I'm up. I don't want to be talking to you at 11. I probably shouldn't even be on my little phone answering and putting my information in. But speed to lead is the person who gets there and gives the information that matches what the consumer's expectations are. So it's always an email. And at the email at the bottom, I always say, if this is outside of business hours, we will contact you on the next business day. So you're setting the expectation up that you are going to get in touch with them. Speed to lead is going to be everything in this market. And know this, it may not be the first email or phone call or text where they pick up. I know I put something in last night. You call me all day today. Let me show you my calendar. You're not getting a hold of me.
Right.
I can't answer you.
And there's a few things to look at that, right? So when we're thinking about the entrepreneurial, the purposeful mindset of this whole story, at the end of the day, entrepreneurial would be getting to them when you can.
Right.
We know that the consumer, you have their attention for 5 minutes.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
After that 5 minutes, they're on to the next thing.
Yep.
Because we get 14,000 thoughts in our head it's ridiculous how many thoughts go through our brain at any given time. And so if you're not in touch with them in the first 5 minutes, who else besides you also got that lead, and did they get in touch with them?
Right.
And two, a lot of people, they're looking to start a search. Expireds, on average, it takes 8 touches for an expired to really want to engage with you.
So, and this is where the purposeful comes in, is when agents take off an agent hat and they look at the client side and the consumer side is what's in it for them. Right. They don't care about you yet. We have to give them reason and value. And so many of our agents are so focused on what they want instead of what the consumer wants. And we've got so much research that dictates people just want to search it first and get to know you. They also want to be referred. So if you're not touching your current client database, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
If yes, we have to add new leads and new people and new contacts and feed our database. that doesn't mean you get to ignore your current database. So if you have been, maybe your purposeful moment is getting in touch and creating a system and using the ones that exist to get back in touch with the people who know you, love you, trust you, and have done business with you.
Yeah. And I would continue on that conversation with, so as you're sitting here building these goals, and I live in Maine, right? I know that there's approximately 813,000 pieces of real estate in the state of Maine. That means that there are 813,000 homes that I could potentially sell. Moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful is, how do I get in front of, let's say my goal is to sell 24 properties. So that would mean I would need like 600 to 1,000 people in my database.
Yep.
So if my goal is to get to that, how do I purposely build those relationships so they reach out to me before they even go online?
Right. And that starts with making sure that your name is one of value. We don't want to just be spewing constant real estate facts. Yes, do we have to talk about it? Absolutely. But how we systematically do it and how we bring value is what's going to make our agents in this shift go from entrepreneurial to purposeful. So, Tiffany, what's your coaching action for them today?
So figure out, what are your goals? You're going to add them to command.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many houses you want to close, put those goals into, and then make sure you're adding the activities. So to close, use 24 as an example. Mm-hmm. To close 24, one of the activities that you need to put into place is, how do I add 600 people to my database minimum with the 4 key pieces of information, which are
full name, address,
phone number. Right. And then there's other pieces, but those are the 4 key, because, you know, a lot of people, I know them all on Facebook. Well, what if Facebook went away tomorrow?
Right. What if you lost the ability to not use your hands for a week? Right. You touched the pot on the stove wrong. Your arthritis is acting up. Like, what are the systems and models behind it? Facebook is not a system or a model, nor is it a business platform for you to run your business.
It's a activity.
It is. And that's one of those ways. How can we get you to a point where anyone can step in and help you create those plays that keep going, even if you want to take yourself out for a day? Because the thought of taking a day off to most of our friends scares them. They get like clammy and sweaty. Their armpits are soaked. They're, like they have the big stains when you say day off. But if you're being purposeful, you have the ability to do that. So like Tiffany said, my coaching action on the tech side is going to be to enter your goals into command.
Yes.
There's just a few pieces of information that will help you move those goals. The other thing is, if you are spending anything on marketing or to get clients in, you need to use this as a lead source in your world. Open house is not a lead source. How did they find your open house? Your pen could be a lead source, your business card, but who gave them the business card? Where did they pick up your pen? Was it at the restaurant because they stole it from the server because you left a whole bunch with the servers? Like, dig deeper into these things, because then you're going to get a true ROI on what's return on investment, on what is working and what is not working. And guys, we have to evaluate, because that's becoming purposeful, is evaluating and kicking the things to the curb that used to work that may not work in this current shift. How do you shift proof your business? And one of the big ways is E2P.
Yeah. And when we talk about the shift, this is when you build a great business. Mm-hmm. People should not run from the shift. They should, it's the whole buffalo, right? Like we all learned about, is it the buffalo or the bison? Yeah, buffalo, right?
Charge the storm. Like buffaloes, they go through it with the things coming in the face.
Yeah, because they know that the fastest way to get to the other side is through it, not around it, not the other way. Because if you go the other way, what happens? The storm comes and finds you.
Right. It moves.
You're taking extra mileage.
So one of the books I like for this, and it will be in the show notes, it's called Purposeful, and it's called Manager or Movement Maker. And now you may say to me, Brooke, I'm not a social media influencer. And that's not what this book is about. It's truly, how can you lead yourself to understand what creates movement within a community of people instead of focusing on managing? Because when you manage, oftentimes it is your own agenda and not what's best for the people who you want in your world or who are receiving a message. Right. So I love this book because it really shows you how to create a movement so that you get fed because you're feeding value to your community. So check this book out. Chapter 3 is my most favorite part of this book, and I think it will open a lot of our eyes. And then every day ask yourself, am I client focused or am I pushing my agenda with what I know in my world? Am I truly focused on client and consumer needs and how they actually do things? Or am I stuck in my agent world and I'm not going to break through the ceiling because I feel they should go to my blog first instead of searching for a property?
It's funny that you say that, because how many agents do we hear with the whole, I need a pretty website?
No, you know what you need? You need easy search. You need speed to lead, and you need the ability to capture information when people are searching for properties. You can have the pretty stuff after, when you allow them into your world and they care about you and you bring value. But if I'm coming into your world and all I see is you and I can't get to what I need, I'm going to go to the next person who will provide me with my needs.
Right.
Not your needs.
Not about us. It's about them.
It is. And I think that's when we could help you get through that, that is one of the ways you would go from E to P so quick, friends.
Absolutely. And you'll know when you're having that E to P feeling, because when you have that, when you're hitting the ceiling, you're kind of, honestly, you're just miserable.
You're cranky because you know it's there. And sometimes it takes a negative impacting moment to get you there. But being purposeful is I think going to be my word for next year. I think it is. I think the more we say it, I think I'm going to keep that, but we've got to think of what does the market dictate and what does the consumer dictate for us? And then we can use the systems and models we have, because relationships are going to be everything in this shift. And if you haven't been nurturing your database, you need to get really good at that before you start adding people to your world, because you're just going to keep paying for empty leads.
And don't have the limiting belief that, well, I ignored them for 2 years, they don't want to hear from me. There is a way to reinvent that relationship.
Eat the frog. So sorry, in these past few years, I have not done a greatest job keeping in touch. In 2023, my goal is to communicate more. I'd love to be able to show you what's going on with properties and things that are going on in your neighborhood that may be of interest. Nobody's going to say no. Nobody's going to say no. Eat the frog. Eat the frog.
Right. I have to hop on to another meeting.
Have a fabulous day, guys. We can't wait to talk about tomorrow.
I know. I'll talk to you soon, Brooke.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.